the live stream. And recording. Okay, so we'll open the meeting and we need an alternate.
I'll make a motion, we appoint Brian West to serve tonight in lieu of the member missing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Come on. All right, the first item we had was continued site plan review for the WAD property, but the applicant requested a continuation to May 5th.
I'll make a motion, we continue the Donahue hearing till May 5th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next item is a design review from Trendeza, owner of Magnuson Farm. Site is located on Route 125 in Brentwood, referenced by tax map 217.027000. Intent is to review a proposal for a residential subdivision development with approximately 13 houses, a road for access, underground utilities, and on-site well and septic. The parcel is approximately 50 acres, located within the commercial, industrial, residential, agriculture, and aquifer protection zones. And we have a comment letter from our planner, Glenn. We have a butter notice that we need to read into the minutes. And we have documents and plans. All right. So you're here to make a presentation? Just a reminder for everybody, this is a design review, so this is not the full process where we're making any decisions. This is just an opportunity to get an overview of the design.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Scott Polk from Beals Associates. I also have John Rubin, the developer of the project. As previously stated, we are here for design review, so we were in the very early ages of design for this property. The current property shown here on the board is known as the Magnuson Pit. It is along Route 125, along this edge of the property in the plan here. The blue represents the Exeter River. The darker olive green represents wetlands on the property. And the lighter green would be considered just green space or residential space. As I said, this is a historical gravel pit. So the majority of this parcel is actually open as it sits today. There are some forested woodlands up here by the existing culvert that enters the project, where the construction entrance is. This is a 36-inch culvert. The parent parcel is approximately 46 acres. North would be oriented towards me, or to the end of the plane here. As again, this is Route 125. The darker green, as I said, in the olive color, represents the wetlands, which is approximately 9 acres or 19% of the actual total site. So historically, being a gravel pit, there are no existing structures or residences on the property. It's all open. The prior owner did do a fairly decent job in his reclamation needs. There are no steep slopes on the property. They're all pretty gradual and left to a minimum of 3-to-1, which is required on a gravel pit reclamation. The proposal for this plan would be a conventional subdivision. This would consist of 13 conventional lots. As you can see, there would be a proposed road designed in a termination of a cul-de-sac. That would be roughly 2,000 feet long in its entirety, or 1,700 feet to the bulb. They would all be considered their own utilities or self-sustaining. The brown would be a represented box for a house. And then the X-hatched areas would be a 4K area reserved for septics. And they would all have their requisite private well. Now, as I stated, to get into the property, currently, there is an existing construction road that goes in with a 36-inch corrugated metal culvert. What we would introduce in the upgrade of that would be an open bottom culvert. Currently, it's actually elevated very high, so if there are any bugs or bunnies or anything that goes actually into it, they would have almost like a 3-foot fall at the end of it. So it would be a significant upgrade to have an open bottom culvert versus what it is right now. Rough speaking, I have not done grades or anything, but we'd be looking at about a 700 square foot wetland impact for that roadway upgrade. Very minor in nature. As stated, we got a letter from the fire department and from Glenn. Some of them have to do with required studies that we'll have to be doing the job. I can go through those quickly. You do realize this is in the Aquifer Protection District. We do plan on performing a hydrological study. We are in the Shoreline Protection District. As I stated, there will be a proposed wetland crossing. There was a comment on one of the lots may be substandard on the 75 feet. I assure you, I know it's a tough scale, but it was drawn at 75 feet. Of course, there will be math provided for that as we go on. We do understand DOT. As I said, there's an existing, which is a quite adequate entrance as it currently stands. Even for this proposed use, there would have to be very little widening at the termination point or within the DOT jurisdiction, but that would require an upgraded DOT permit. Fire protection, on early thoughts. This large wetland area here is an active pond. I do not have a depth yet at this time. Currently, it has a very large amount of water. We would like to at least have a conversation with the fire department on the possibility of a dry hydrant. If not, we will be required to do the requisite cistern as required in regulations. And then lastly, there was a comment on the regulations for the cul-de-sac terminus having a 100-foot radius. Glenn is absolutely right. I commonly, like the last 4 jobs, we have gone with a reduced cul-de-sac, which is the one I had shown. I can certainly, and I actually sketched it on this one, which you can't see, but I applied a 100-foot radius to the right of way and left the EP the same. And it doesn't affect the lots at all because the lots were mostly oversized. So it can be corrected, or we can go with the smaller, whichever the board prefers. As I said, so this is a design review. We wanted to ferret this out and show the abutters and the planning board what the thoughts are. We know there was concerns relative to an existing property and the use that's being proposed on that one. I looked at it quickly. In the fellow subdivision, which is down here to the west of the design, and the closest house to any of the abutters, which I believe is in this area here, is approximately 500 feet. The mill pond, although we barely touched the corner of their premises at the very end, the residences are way over, I think, 1,500 feet, but by regulation, we had to notify them as abutters. So again, we wanted to bring this to the board and to the public and get their comments. Any questions? I'll be happy to answer them.
Over on the right-hand side, you have a TP 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. What's that?
Test pit water. Test pits have been dug
Okay, all right.
on the property and witnessed by Michael Coleman.
Joe Bird suggested that you possibly line up with the Mill Road project and make it so that they could have a path to get out of there in case of an emergency or something. Have you considered that?
We took a quick look at that. We understand the request for any kind of subdivision to be connected and have connectivity. We looked at this and we do believe that there are more negatives than positives on that. One of them being, this is a very self-sufficient, very simple subdivision. In order to connect this one to the one which would be down here, we would be putting approximately 1,000 feet of road that would create no more lots. So there would be no benefit to the developers, of course, but, and also to the town, because there'd be no tax base to pay for that when you come to maintenance or anything like that. Secondly, we'd be putting another road extension parallel to the Exeter River, which we are trying our hardest to stay away from. And then thirdly, it would also require an additional wetland impact. And on the state side, anything you can do to minimize, obviously, is the best. So
But if,
we
if
haven't
there were,
gone that
if there were no
far.
financial impact to you, you wouldn't have objections.
Excuse me?
If another party, the other party, were to contribute and pay for this, you wouldn't mind.
John can speak to that, I can't.
Yeah, I would prefer that we are not introducing that into here. And I don't, Scott, I'm not sure, may affect the lot count because, I mean, do we have an extra 50 feet along the lot lines to do that? Or, you know, the minimum point of impact where the state is gonna want us to cross for the wetland impact to occur is kind of in the middle of one of the lots that we have. So it's highly likely it's gonna affect the lot count here in order to provide that as well. But you have additional considerations of salt and sand in proximity to do proper maintenance and care of that. You're introducing those in close proximity to the river, as well as adding an additional wetland impact to this property that are all things that we would have to address on this particular property.
Each home would have their own well?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep, on one line septic. The majority of the lots compared to the minimum lot size, they're pretty much oversized. You know, we want a nice, decent, conventional subdivision feel. So, yeah.
Before we do anything else, can you both just say your names and affiliations? Just, we're trying to capture.
Yep, my name is Scott Paul from Beals Associates.
Thank you.
And I'm John LaRiviere, and I'm the owner of Trendeza LLC. Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know if the cars want to identify themselves for the record.
Yeah, I was gonna see if, do you have any questions? Any follow-up items? Anybody else? Okay. I do have one
Did you put your hand up?
Yes, I
comment.
do. Something I'd like to add to this.
Yeah, sorry, I was just gonna read one, we have one about our comment, written, I'm gonna read that in and then we can, comment, yeah. So, this says, I will not be at the hearing 4/21/22. I am 88 years old and homebound. For 50 years, we use this land as a pit. The extra material is gone. Pit is dug out. I can't read that. Time for a new use for this land. And I can't read the first name.
That's Conrad
Sounds like it must be Conrad
Okay.
Magnuson.
He's the owner of the property.
All right,
Or former
Former owner.
former owner. He said,
That's
so it's
Conrad,
Conrad
really?
Magnuson, manager of Magnuson Farm LLC.
They still are the owner. I have the property under contract. I don't currently own the property. Just so that the board fully understands.
And this is basically a letter of authorization allowing you to speak about this piece of property.
So, sorry, if you wanna, come up, butters, if you have comments, if you can just please very clearly state your name so we can capture that.
David Weber, 32 Diane McCain Drive in Brentwood. I'm one of the abutters in the bottom of the map here. And I have a comment of concern about the water level. As you know, this, between this property and 125, there's a large wetlands area. Recently, my neighbor and I have noticed a drop in the level of the water there. We weren't aware of this project, so we went out and took a walk out there, and we found that there's, here, I believe it's owned by Haywood Realty, right behind DC Automotive, et cetera, there's a pipe which maintains the water level of that entire wetlands. When the water comes up, goes out the pipe, and it goes down a brook, and eventually makes its way to the Exeter River. What's happened is, this pipe has been there for many years, and has kept the water level standing where it is. Someone has gone up there and excavated a culvert along the side of the pipe and created a brook. The water is now rushing out of the wetlands, and the entire level Even this area here is now leaching, going that way. The water's being reduced. The swamps were always much heavier in here and deeper. But in the past few months, we've noticed the water's receded. And I'm wondering what the impact is of this. Someone's obviously, I think it's a wetlands violation to take and dig out an area beside a pipe.
I think there were beaver in there.
No, I have videos to show you of it. I took videos of this a year and a half ago of this pipe, when I was concerned about Q firearms building over there. I went over and I took videos of it, which I have here. And this past weekend, I took videos of the exact same place. It's stunning what they've done. Someone has dug it out. I can't imagine there's any other intent but to reduce the amount of wetlands up here, because the water is pouring out of there.
Yeah,
Have you got
Wetlands
videos of
aren't
people doing
based-
that?
Wetlands are
Right.
based off of
soil.
soils and vegetation,
Water
but,
levels, I should say.
but certainly, I just have a question, are we talking about on something that was done on this property or on a
Nope.
different property?
On this property, the water was right up where this swamp is directly connected to this water. So if this water drops down a level, this swamp has to recede, water seeks its own level. And this is what I'm talking about, this water, if we have a map of the wetlands,
So
they
we
actually
actually-
see.
Yeah, I guess, and the board can choose to do with that what they choose, but this is really almost no impact to the houses that we propose in that area. So even if it were expanded much beyond what we had a wetland scientist map, it wouldn't have affected those lots.
But 2 points. One, if this is fixed, if someone has, if there's a complaint made, if there was a wetlands violation, it has to be returned the way it was. Now water is gonna start building up and come back where it was last year. That's gonna impact the way this goes. Also, I don't know, does this affect all these test pits? The water level we've seen, that has to be looked at also.
It shouldn't affect the test pit. Test pit is based off of a seasonal high water table, which is modeling in the soils, not based on actual water flow. But again, I'll forward after this.
Right, I don't think this is really germane to our conversation tonight, where we're focusing, the public hearing has been noticed for this particular parcel. Now, you have a remedy, and I guess you would start perhaps with the Board of Selectmen or Department of Environmental Services at the state level,
Yeah, that's
if you're
what we're
concerned.
looking
And that would be the proper way to do it. We have no power to address that.
No, I wanted to make sure everybody's aware that something's coming that affects this, and potentially could impact it, whether or not their recent delineations could be affected by this, I don't know.
No, the soil information is actually done by Rockingham County Soil Conservation Service. He's a licensed soil scientist, and all of his test pit data have already been collected. And we haven't seen that test pit data, but Scott has that to prepare to put on one of these plans. And you'll be welcome to, you'll have access to all of that. But I would start, if your concern is wetland violations, potential possible, go through the proper channel. And we can't help even if we wanted to, and we're not experts at viewing that. But somebody from DES would come down if you file a complaint and begin that way. I'm sure you could come over to the town office here on Monday or probably tomorrow if you wanted to and get the DES contact information.
Okay, thanks.
It's a valid, you make a valid point, but it's just something we can't deal with here.
And if you do choose to go to the state, if you wouldn't mind sharing that information with either Karen or myself, just as the select board representative, I can let the select board know.
Absolutely,
That's kind of,
everything I have.
it's just jmorgan@brentwood@h.gov.
Okay.
Thanks.
Other comments? There's,
No,
Hi, Mark Young, 47 Fellows Road. We would be strongly opposed to any idea of connecting that development with the proposed 41A Mill Road development.
And I think the town would too, and of course the state of New Hampshire would have a major concern with that volume of traffic exiting onto a very
I'm
dangerous
shocked that a
section.
board member would even suggest that.
Well, I don't, the board hasn't made a decision on it. I think
All right,
because,
can I finish, please? Thank you. I would like to run to the gate of the developer. Because as it is, the traffic studies for Mill Road is pretty insufficient in our opinion. And to give direct access from 125 to Mill Road just makes it worse. Thank you.
I think the chief's concern, sir, was if it were possible, if it were rational and reasonable, if it was a short distance We were just talking like a crash gate, an emergency access. In no way is he talking about a general traffic flow between the two roads. No way. Was that ever a concern of his?
It's also premature. I mean, nothing's obviously been finalized with the other development, so I feel like it's all very much premature.
And just to clarify, that was not a board member, it was the chief of the fire department who had submitted a comment to us about that.
Well, I heard the board member suggest an idea of putting a connecting road.
I think he was asking about different scenarios.
It's basically reiterating what I read in the sheet of paper. He's not here, so I'll
Yeah,
read it.
the chief, Mark, actually wrote a letter. I can just read it very quickly if you want to hear the context of his letter. And it's just a letter, April 15th, addressed to the board. And he says, having heard of the possibility of the Magnuson Pit becoming a development in the not-too-distant future, I would recommend looking into connecting the two developments. I've expressed in the past and will continue to do so that these large developments with one way in and one way out are not safe in a major emergency. He goes on to say, we've had 2 cases in the last 10 years that have caused an issue. To be able to get people in and out in an emergency is vital. So that's what he's concerned, or what his message was. But again, we talked about this before, and it's always been in the light of an emergency access point, not to have general traffic flow through, absolutely not. Positively not.
Thank you, understood.
It's signed by Chief Bird.
Can the board just refresh, Mark Hannick, Fellows Road, can the board just refresh my memory what the minimum setback from the edge of a house to the borderline of a property or a plot is?
25 feet building setback. If it's a town road, 75 feet from the center line of the road to the front of the home.
He's done this
I was just
before.
looking at
Usually you
Glenn.
correct me, because usually I make a misstatement, but that was a pretty simple.
That was good.
Other questions, comments?
So what the program now is to do the hydro study will take some period of time. And you'll be engaging those experts to do that. And then just for the people in the audience, and the town has an engineer that peer reviews, all these engineering studies are peer reviewed, so that will happen. And I mean, you could come back, we can continue a design review hearing.
We typically don't.
No, and I don't know, I mean, you could always come in for another design review hearing. If we close this tonight, and you want to have another design review discussion, you'd have to renotice. But it'd be important for any of the butters, if they wanted to come up, closer and take a look at the map, if you have any questions.
I do have one more, I'm just, because I see it now, I didn't see it before. There's a, gentlemen, there's a black dotted line that almost goes across. Okay. Yes, I just can't read that, can you just clarify that?
Yep, that's actually a good question. This dark dashed line the gentleman is speaking of, that's a zone line. So where we have Route 125 up here, this is the commercial industrial zone. It's based on, I believe, by a distance, not a partial land. So in fact, because of that reason, these 2 lots are actually bigger than the remaining because their minimum lot size is greater than the other residential lots. So that's the big difference there. So we have the commercial industrial zone on the east side of this line, and then the regular residential agricultural zone on the west side.
Are you able to tell the approximate size of each spot? Like is it an acre, 2 acres, 3 acres?
The lots?
Yeah, the small one, you can tell me small.
Yep, these all here are minimum, actually I can tell you the smallest I believe is 2.2 and it goes up to 5.8.
Thank you.
0.1.
You want to ask any questions about the zones?
Yeah, I mean, so basically, is the commercial zone in town, anybody in the commercial zone has to have, Scott said, a minimum of 3 acres, where the residential minimum is 2 acres. So that's what that is.
Why do we have 2.76 in the commercial? It's actually 120, it's actually 120,000 square feet.
in 120,000 square feet is almost exactly 2.76 acres. And they have developed 2 of the lots to that exact size, which is completely appropriate.
So the way this would probably work, then would, you would come in for an application hearing once the hydro study has been complete. And then at that time, we'd probably have we would have a site walk scheduled and let people walk out. And usually we ask that you stake the center line of the road and then get out there and take a look around.
Yep. Relatively easy, as I said, it's wide open, so.
All right, just one more chance. Anybody have any other questions or comments?
Oh, well,
Looks like
Oh,
one very good.
So, I actually live beside Pit Road where
Sorry.
it comes.
Sorry.
Oh, Anthony Tierney, I'm sorry, 140 to 125. So my concern is that this road, as of now, is like a one-lane traffic road. So to widen that, on both sides is all the wetlands. So how do you suggest to make that road wider and still have the wetlands there with that culvert?
We anticipated a 700 square foot increase in the total size of the wetland impact with the additional width of the wetlands crossing. So we'll be upgrading the culvert from what's there and existing. Intention right now is a open bottom culvert, which is a little more conducive for wildlife and things like that as well. But the edges of that in length would be extended by a little bit to proper vertical head walls as well, as opposed to right now it goes at a slope. The head walls will come straight up, so that's how we'll gain a lot of that.
Right, and so because when you go down Pit Road, right at the culvert, to the right is my property line.
Yep.
So is it gonna be to the left of that, or how does
It'll
that?
be
You're
wholly
going
on our
down
property.
Pit Road.
Yep, so what we have to do is we have to provide a proposed right of way from your line would be 50 feet over, and then the road is actually centered in that. So the actual proposed road is not gonna be centered on the Pit Road, it'll be further over.
Okay.
So we're further away from you.
So it's more towards the left, like we're going down.
So the impact is actually on the other side.
But that's all wetlands and swampland, which feeds into the Exeter River.
Yeah.
Because that comes under the road through the culvert into the river. Thank you.
I actually have a quick question. I'm noticing it looks like there may be an existing culvert on one of the lots, like near Station 10 to the right. And then I can put it out on the plan.
Sure.
Oh, right here, connecting to wetlands. Do you anticipate having to have construction vehicles drive over that to access?
We do not.
Okay.
They'll be going around the other way to that lot. No, we don't anticipate doing anything with those culverts at all.
Okay.
As I stated, we still would like to have discussion with the fire department on a possible dry hydrant, which would be a pipe from there to the road, but there wouldn't be any other.
I think they
The
did.
chief
They did
also
some-
indicated or
He's the person who wants to-
mentioned about
I think
sidewalks.
they
Are you
just-
planning on having sidewalks on this?
Just
No,
mentioned
our
investigation,
mention
but
was-
of course they would use those.
That was about Mill Road, that comment was about.
It's in relationship to this.
I thought that was about River Run or whatever.
Maybe it's a general comment.
Okay,
The roadway we're proposing is an open swale drainage
okay.
system, which is not
That's what it
very
looks like.
conducive
Yeah.
to sidewalks. You don't have the drainage and the curbing to create that water gap
Right.
between the two to create that sidewalk. So it'd be more like traditional drainage that we have here in town.
Okay.
This would be a town road, we assume.
Correct.
Do you have a very rough idea of timeline yet?
I don't like to speculate.
Fair.
When we're ready. ready to start, we would start, the anticipation is we would start immediately thereafter. It's not something we would shelf for a long period of time.
The market's hot, so.
State departments are not.
No.
Do you have another
I
question?
do
Yeah.
have one more question. I'm just concerned about the impact of the traffic coming in and out on 125. Has anybody done any studies on how that's gonna impact that area? Where it's a bad spot to begin with. I've had double fatalities in my driveway, so I know that it tends, even pulling in and out of my driveway, it's kind of a hard spot. So I didn't know if any studies were done on the impact of traffic that will affect
It's
that area.
Being a state road, we're gonna have to go through Division 6, is it? Yeah. State Division 6, to get the improvements to the driveway curb cut onto Route 125. And they'll come up with the list of requirements that they're looking for from us.
Okay.
You know, that's gonna be the state's determination, and they deal with this on, you know, the faster traffic state roads all the time, so they have a set of standards that we could be expected to be held to.
Okay, thank you.
All right, if there's nothing else, we'll close this out, and we don't need to do anything official or anything. Thank you for coming. Thanks, everyone, for coming.
So if the abutters here tonight, if they do go forward with the project, then you'll all get registered letters again at application time. So you'll be aware of, if there is another meeting, when that will be.
Great, thank you very much.
We do have other board business, so if you have discussions, if you can take them out in the hall.
Excuse me, please. If you have other discussions, will you take them out into the hall? Thank you. We have other board business. Thank you.
Part of this is hearing that.
Scott, right? Scott, can you take that? No, thank you. Oh, she's taking it. Okay. We have a manifest to sign. It includes a return of $1,700 to 6 Sour and used escrow application funds, as they have withdrawn their application.
Make a motion to return.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. DMV Retail Dealer License and Registration for CAA and Sales, Jedediah Creek, 424 Route 125, Unit 12. These are the commercial units on top of the hill next to Wayne Robinson. This needs to be either approved or denied, signed by the chair and given to Karen to copy, scan, and email back to DMV. So this is a request from DMV that we have to sign off on. And do we have any?
Well, it's a commercially approved commercial space there. There's a lot of condominiums. It's hard to see from 125 unless you drive up in there, but there's probably 6 or 7 commercial condominiums. There's a car mechanic in there already. I don't know if he's the same one that's applying here.
And I believe that he intends to only have vehicles inside his unit.
Okay.
Or might want to say, if they were going to approve this, that there is no ability to have vehicles outside of the structure. Because it is not it's tight up there. It is not an environment to have a lot of vehicles outside.
Right, but that would require them to come back and ask for,
Well, right, 'cause they have a site plan, approved site
Right.
plan now that doesn't show.
It
this
shows no
display.
outside activity.
right,
So usually what we can, in the minutes, just for the intent, we usually say that the parcel will continue to abide by all standards of the approved
Site plan.
site plan.
But they could always come in and change their site plan.
If they want, yes.
And we talked about this before, didn't we?
We've talked about a lot of these.
I don't know if we've talked about
This
this
one,
particularly
okay.
before.
but there's no,
There's no way we can write that, the state permit application is just either sign or don't sign.
Separate.
We can't put a, did they send a note explaining what they wanted to do? Usually we write back to them and say approved, but.
oh wait,
we
it
must-
already says listing restrictions, no outside storage or display
Okay,
vehicles,
okay,
there you go.
I'll make a motion the chair signs the application for DOT.
Second.
All in favor?
DMV, I should say, DMV.
Hi.
All in favor?
Hi.
Okay, all right, we'll sign that. Approval of minutes, April 7th. Anybody have any
Thank you.
questions?
Those were long minutes.
Yeah, and there were 2 additions, right?
He's lucky he's doing tonight.
Yeah. You probably read those in that, there were about 5 typewritten pages.
Oh, I know, right? Andrews are crazy.
Wow.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Oh,
Minutes.
I can't, I wasn't,
You can.
You were there?
Did you
were
read
there?
I seconded it, yes.
Did you read?
I seconded it. I was there, but I
You were
wasn't on the
there.
board.
That's okay. You were there, you read the minutes.
Okay.
Okay,
We're not telling them. so.
all in favor?
Hi, hi.
I abstain.
All right.
Okay. Any other business?
That was one abstention.
Yeah, I'd like to make a request. As you all are aware at this point, took a new position that has me kind of bouncing around a little bit. If I could call or Zoom in while when I'm traveling, it would just make it a little bit easier for me to attend, particularly on the 5th, because I will not be here at 7, so if that's an option.
I think it's allowable, certainly.
It's allowable, it's just not something we've typically done.
Would it be easier, John, if you had a substitute come in for you while you're gone? Just a suggestion? Or do you want to be actively involved?
Well,
But he's a board of selectmen, I don't think they can have a substitute.
we
They
can,
can,
Okay.
as long as
but
they
on the
nominate.
5th.
I see,
On the
okay.
5th, the UNH students are gonna be giving the presentation,
Oh.
and so I
Right.
really would like to
Yep. No, I
be
understand.
present.
How does that work? How do we see, when you zoom in?
So if I have a Zoom link, I will be in West Africa on May 5th, so
Mayor
West
West.
Africa, you mean the country?
Sierra Leone specifically.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
and so depending on how the connection is, I may just be on audio for that one. If there's a Zoom, then I log in, you can see me, I can usually see 1 or 2 people because of wherever it's pointing.
It's a stretch of the camera.
But the audio on Zoom is exponentially better than,
Will they be on site or are they going to Zoom as well?
they should be here,
That's the impression I got, yeah.
That's the plan.
So what we really ought to do is have a big laptop so people can see, especially if they're gonna do their presentation remotely.
That would be, yeah, I mean, I don't wanna make it too difficult.
Does
on
the
people.
town have a bigger screen?
We have no, we don't have a bigger, camera, but we have a
Oh, yeah,
screen.
oh, yeah, that's what we were.
We can do that, that's not that
Yeah,
hard.
I can log into Zoom. I don't know if it has to be.
And Steph,
on.
you'd be comfortable helping with the projector, if we got the projector set up, right?
I think so. I've never used it, but
It's not that hard,
Probably
it's
figure it out.
HDMI to,
Yeah, I think it's important that you're here for that meeting in particular.
Oh, yeah.
so.
Do we have to use official town equipment? I seem to remember there was
No,
something
not
about that
really.
now.
I mean,
I think so.
No.
You just want to be able to see it. It's just too hard to look on for everybody that may be interested to try to see it on a small.
Yeah, 'cause in a lot of towns, engineers bring in their own projectors and things.
Well, the town has a projector, so that's, we just have to ask Karen for it. It's at the library's very good about letting us use it. And I believe Karen will have a Zoom link that we can use.
If she doesn't, we can use mine.
Okay, thank you.
What do you do, put your phone on the dash or something?
Okay.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I mean, it'll be late at night, so I'll be in my hotel room.
Oh, okay, all right,
I'll just be on my laptop.
all right.
Yeah, I don't see it. You're not asking, right? You're just saying this, it's an option.
Well, I'm kind of,
Yeah, I'm not opposed to
you
it.
guys are the ones that have to make the accommodations for me, because I'm not gonna be here, and so I'm kind of asking.
I think it was always state law, it's just it came to the forefront during the pandemic.
Right.
Well, it's always been state law that they could come in
Yeah.
by audio, by telephone. And then when Zoom took over, it just is presumed that.
And then we added
you can
it
use
to
that
our
technology as
procedures,
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
rules of procedure.
So,
I could make a motion to, allow John to zoom in from wherever he is.
I mean, I think he always already has that.
If we
right.
need to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have that statutory right to do
Yeah.
that, so.
Yeah.
Good, yeah, I agree.
Then if we don't like the comment, then we're
Yeah.
not bound by it. Then-
you can just shut me off.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Oops, yeah.
Can't hear you.
Some of the rebels.
We know you're West Africa, but our internet went down.
That's a 12-hour difference, aren't you lucky?
Oh, no, Sierra Leone's on the west coast of Africa, so it's only like a 5-hour difference, it's not even that bad.
Oh, sorry.
Could you keep an eye out for some African mahogany? We're always looking for that.
I got some in my house if you want.
About 12,000 feet, right?
I don't have that much.
All right, somebody has to transcribe all this, so we'll stay.
Yeah. Good luck with
Don't
that.
have to transcribe that.
Move to adjourn.
Yeah, is there anything else anybody wanted to bring to the board?
I wrote up what we had talked about the aerial photo. I don't know if it would be better for me to send a written version for people to review. I only did it this afternoon, so. Or I
Yeah,
can
that's
just
fine.
read
I
it to you.
guess now we have to send things to Karen until, to
Okay,
distribute to everybody. until-
okay, so I'll send it to her.
But that's great, because that's what we really needed. We need to have some definitions.
We can't email the chair and have that disseminated amongst us that way?
Well, it might be different. I mean, that's a burden on you.
Oh, right.
Karen is presuming that since she's here during the day.
I'm not great about,
And quite frankly,
Every day.
I'm willing to do that as well.
Oh, I'm time-wise.
The times that I can do it
Yep.
are literally, clearly when I'm here
Right.
all day on Wednesday. And Fridays, I can do it. Other days, sometimes I don't look at my email, so.
Well, I'm not opposed to it, it's just that.
Sounds like Karen's a good choice.
She would be the most consistent,
Yeah.
available
Yep.
person.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
I'll-
no, our minute's gonna work, so Ned's gonna write up just the motions and the results of the vote.
and then Karen has somebody who's gonna
Okay,
transcribe,
good.
but at least we've got the official decisions, which
Right. it's
there
really-
wasn't much.
right.
And then if we need it, we have the context, but there weren't any big decisions.
Can I just for the record though, John Morgan, Select Board Representative, can I just say thank you to Glenn Greenwood, the town planner, for attending the Economic Development Committee's recent meeting and also meeting with the UNH MBA intern students and with guidance for both the board and the students. It was incredibly helpful and we're just really grateful that you took the time to do that.
Thank you, because it was a pleasure feeling so old.
No,
College kids
you did a good job.
Those are grads.
Those are
They're so young.
That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because you brought up economic development committee, and I know it's sort of related to the planning board. That sign that's up by the,
It's, we have a 10x4 frame that is already just about made.
oh, it's just not, okay, so
It
we're
is
not
not.
complete there yet, because you can't read.
Well,
What's happening
Yes.
to it?
You can't read it, the whole first line.
Doug
I know what it's supposed to
Doug is
say,
well
but-
aware of what's happening. We're gonna also even get like little lights to.
Are you gonna get closer to the road at all, or it just seems?
Oh, that's
You're limited by state.
Yeah, that's not something
Oh, okay.
I can.
What's it say? Oh, it's for bringing it to
It
Brentwood,
says,
but you can't see
bring to.
Bring it to Brentwood.
That's it.
Yeah, that's John's like.
We're
bring it to
trying.
Brentwood.
At least it's up.
It is up, that took a while. All right, sorry. That was-
Good point.
I deserve that.
All right.
So good, 10 o'clock Saturday, right? Everybody.
Yes,
Yeah.
site walk, 10 o'clock Saturday, is, who's able to attend?
Somebody should take minutes of that, you know?
Yes, yeah.
But because there aren't, I mean, it really just want to be able to reflect who was there and a real brief description of what occurs, because nothing really occurs
Yeah.
other than viewing.
Yeah.
I'll bring a clipboard and just ask people to sign, because what historically happens is you get a chain of people 30, 40 feet long, so the conversations are going on back and forth.
Right, right.
There's no decisions being made, but at least to know who was there, if there's any names on it.
It's most important to be able to verify who was in
Right,
attendance.
I'll bring a clipboard
I
in.
think
The
it,
butters being notified as well?
They were told
It's
at
part of
the
the-
hearing, and they were told that they were
And
allowed
it's-
to attend.
posted.
Okay.
I think Andrew also said anything that the applicant offers to do, promises, whatever, just to take notes of it. But
Just as a reminder.
it's not binding.
They really
Yeah.
aren't, because it's outside of the actual public forum.
Yeah,
And just as a reminder, I'm not gonna be there I'll be there at 12:30 to walk the property, flags will be still up. Apparently I have a permission by the owner of the property to be able to walk it. Just do a brief walk, if I have any questions, I'll contact the chair.
That's Saturday, you're gonna
Sat-
be showing up at 12:30?
Yes.
Yeah, gotcha,
Yeah.
yeah.
Where do we park? Where should we park?
Probably right by the house. I mean,
Preferably not on someone else.
this field and stuff. Have you been there before?
Well, I've ridden by it, but.
Drive right up the driveway, drive right up the driveway, and you see the
Maybe
old.
anybody go by my house, they could just like pick me up.
No. There's plenty of room there to park.
Yeah.
All right, I'll just.
Dried
look
out
for the
some now.
cars. All right, I'll look.
so is everyone else able to make it on Saturday?
Yes.
I will not be there.
You will not be there.
I'm gone.
You're gone. Bruce will be there.
I will.
Yep. Okay.
That it? Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, take this.
Second by Brian.